in the vast, silent expanse between heaven and earth, where fate coils like a hidden dragon and the path of cultivation is paved with blood and will, the story of legends continues to unfold. Welcome to Recap Renegade Immortal Chapter 764, 765. At this moment in the tale, the winds of conflict grow ever more turbulent. Wang Lin stands at the edge of a deeper abyss, where past grudges, hidden schemes, and the weight of his own relentless pursuit of power begin to converge. Allies are uncertain, enemies lurk in shadow, and every step forward may awaken forces long sealed by time itself. The calm before the storm has long since passed. What remains is a tightening net of destiny, where a single misstep could spell annihilation or ascension. Tonight, we return to witness what choices will be made, what secrets will be unveiled, and what price must be paid on the road of immortality. Let the legend continue. Before the storm of vengeance could erupt across the stars, a tale of ruin and fury had already been carved into the void. A tale of blood, betrayal, and a hatred that refused to fade. The collapse of that fragile storage space had forced the blood ancestor into a desperate corner. With no other path left, he had no choice but to invoke the forbidden technique, fusion through origin blood. It was a gamble, a cruel one. And yet, fate had already turned against him long before that moment. He cursed his misfortune. Of all beings in the boundless cosmos, he had encountered that mysterious old man, the one who, without hesitation, tore away half of his origin soul. And with it, half of the origin energy he had spent countless ages refining through bitter cultivation. Such a loss was not merely injury, it was devastation. His cultivation plummeted, falling like a shattered mountain. Still, even that would not have been enough to break him. But the old man's final strike, that final merciless blow, did not just wound him, it forced him back into a dormant state, a state where he could only wait, helplessly, for scattered drops of blood to slowly gather again over time. And worse still, that attack carried a terrifying force, a sealing power that bound him like an invisible prison, suffocating his very essence. Time passed in silence. Then, at last, as the fusion of his blood reached its most critical juncture, as awakening hovered just within reach, Wang Lin appeared, like a blade slicing through destiny itself. All the blood ancestor's efforts, all his suffering, shattered once more. He had endured countless setbacks, one after another, until even his ancient will could no longer bear the weight. In the end, he could only flee. Now, in this moment, he was weaker than ever before. His origin soul trembled, not with fear, but with a monstrous, uncontrollable rage. Wang Lin, you and I cannot exist under the same heavens! His roar tore through the void like a collapsing world. Reason had long since abandoned him. Any being who had suffered as he had would have gone mad. And that lingering restriction left behind by the mysterious old man only twisted his mind further, feeding the flames of insanity. Without hesitation, he turned, his figure vanishing into the darkness as he chased the path where Wang Lin had disappeared. I would rather abandon healing than let you live. Far away, drifting silently through the endless void, a fragment of shattered land carried Wang Lin's unconscious body. His eyes remained closed. The celestial sword circled around him like a silent guardian, its glow faint yet resolute. Beside him floated Shu Liguo, his face filled with unease. He muttered to himself, his tone bitter and conflicted. I should have left earlier. I really should have. He scratched his head, glancing nervously at Wang Lin. But I can't just abandon this fiend here. Sigh. Shu Liguo, you are a man of loyalty. How could you do something so disgraceful? His expression shifted, pride creeping into his voice. I didn't run this time. When he wakes up, he'll definitely see my worth. Maybe I'll get more rewards in the future. A sly grin spread across his face. Hey, your grandfather Shu is truly clever. But then his thoughts drifted. This is only his avatar. At that realization, his body shivered uncontrollably. If there was one being in existence that struck fear into the depths of his soul, it was Wang Lin's original body. Within the vast expanse of the Alliance star system, on a desolate planet crackling with endless thunder, a hidden cave pulsed with raw energy. Deep within that cave, a figure sat in meditation. His hair burned red like fresh blood. His aura was cold, suffocating, like the chill before death. Between his brows, 4 ancient stars slowly revolved, each one radiating a profound, terrifying power. Streams of spiritual energy surged from every direction, pouring into his body like rivers returning to the sea. Then his eyes opened. Within that calm gaze, a sliver of killing intent flickered. A sliver, yet enough to shake the heavens. Blood ancestor. His voice was low, steady, but filled with boundless wrath. You forced my avatar into unconsciousness. Do you think this ends here? This was Wang Lin's true self, his original body. He clenched his fist slowly, rising to his feet. Silence followed, a long, heavy silence, as if even the world itself held its breath. Then he moved. A thunderous rumble erupted as the earth above him shattered layer by layer. The ground collapsed, unable to withstand his rising force. With a deafening explosion, his figure burst forth from beneath the eastern lands of the planet, sending dust and debris roaring into the sky. He did not stop. Without hesitation, he ascended into the vastness of space. The moment he reached the void, he spread his arms wide. Crack! Crack! Sharp, explosive sounds echoed from his body. The noise grew louder, faster, more violent with each passing breath. His veins bulged grotesquely. Deep within him, a low, thunderous roar began to rise, like something ancient awakening from eternal slumber. Then his body began to change. His legs thickened, stretching outward. His arms expanded, growing heavier, longer. His entire form began to swell, as if an ancient force was inflating him from within. And still, it did not stop. His body expanded wildly, uncontrollably, accompanied by a deeper, more primal roar, one that seemed to echo from the beginning of time itself. Yet his face showed no pain, only calm, and beneath that calm, an unyielding fury. Time passed. Half an incense stick later, a giant, towering over 1,000 feet tall, stood in the void. His presence was savage, overwhelming. His skin was covered in coarse, ancient runes that glowed faintly, each symbol radiating an indescribable majesty. A low roar escaped his lips. That sound, ancient, domineering, filled with authority over all existence. Everything within its reach trembled. It was as if the very memories of ancient times had been awakened. Beasts across nearby planets collapsed to the ground, their bodies shaking uncontrollably. Fear seeped into their very souls, because this roar belonged to something long thought extinct. The ancient gods, lords of space itself. In the distant past, when they walked the cosmos, all life had no choice but to bow in reverence. And now, after countless years of silence, that roar declared their return. Only now did Wang Lin reveal his true majesty. He was no mere cultivator. He was an ancient god. From the moment an ancient god reached 4 stars, their body would grow endlessly. Before, Wang Lin had restrained this transformation, but now he let it loose. Only by revealing this form could he wield the true power of his lineage. Only now could he be called a true ancient god. His gaze turned cold, merciless. Blood ancestor, you dared harm my avatar. His voice rumbled like collapsing heavens. I will repay you by erasing your blood planet from existence. He stepped forward. The star system itself seemed to tremble beneath that single step. Walking through space as if it were solid ground, he advanced relentlessly toward his target. As he moved, he raised his massive right hand and pressed a finger to his forehead. Spiritual energy surged wildly, condensing at his fingertip into an ancient imprint. With a single motion, he placed it between his brows. The 4 stars vanished. This was no technique of ordinary cultivators. It was a secret of the ancient gods, a mark that concealed their identity. Unless one possessed overwhelming power, none would see through it. Wang Lin's eyes grew colder. In this alliance star system, the giant demon clan exists. No one will suspect a 1,000-foot body to be that of an ancient god. Compared to a true adult ancient god, his form was still insignificant, weak. No one would imagine the truth. Without another word, he surged forward. His destination, the blood planet. The path was already known to him, engraved in memory from the star map once given by the All-Seer. As he traveled, his gaze suddenly sharpened. Ahead, fragments of stone floated silently through space. Common debris, meaningless to most, but not to him. Without slowing, he reached out and grasped a massive stone over 100 feet wide. With a roar, spiritual energy surged, binding the stone to him as he continued forward. After he passed, 2 trembling cultivators emerged from a nearby fragment. Their faces were pale, their bodies shook uncontrollably. What was that? Their voices quivered as they stared into the distance where Wang Lin had vanished. A chilling fear crawled through their scalps. Without another word, they fled. Meanwhile, Wang Lin continued his advance. Each time he encountered stones of sufficient size, he seized them, dragging them behind him with overwhelming force, one after another, until they formed a vast stream, like a river of stone trailing behind a god. These were his weapons. Deep within his inherited memories, early-stage ancient gods had rarely relied on techniques. Instead, they used the simplest method, crushing everything with raw power, and the more weapons they carried, the more unstoppable they became. Thus, he moved forward, a giant walking the void, a river of stones following in his wake, and within him, a killing intent so heavy it seemed to suffocate the stars themselves, closer and closer, toward the blood planet, toward destruction, toward vengeance. Kill! Before the storm ever reached the heavens, the blood planet had already begun to rot from within. A world bathed in crimson light, distant and forsaken, far beyond the influence of planet Tianyun. It drifted alone in the endless void. Such isolation was no accident. Among cultivators who could claim an entire planet as their private domain, distance was not merely preference, it was survival. Even allies kept their distance. Even friends held suspicion in their hearts. Because those who had lived for thousands of years, those ancient monsters, understood one truth better than anyone else. Trust was a luxury they could not afford. And so, those powerful beings chose solitude. They chose places so remote that no divine sense could reach them. For if even a trace of awareness lingered nearby, every breath, every movement would be laid bare. The master of this world, the blood ancestor, was a man wrapped in secrets, and so his caution ran deeper than most. According to the map given by All-Seer, this blood planet lay in utter desolation. No powerful cultivators nearby, no watchful eyes, a perfect hiding place. And that was precisely why Wang Lin had come. Through the silent void, a lone figure advanced, cold-faced, unstoppable. Behind him flowed a river, not of water, but of stone. Endless rocks drifted in formation, like a silent army following their sovereign. Against the vastness of space, his figure seemed small. Yet the killing intent surrounding him was enough to chill the stars themselves. Months passed like drifting dust. He did not stop. Not once. Along the way, scattered cultivators crossed his path. Each one froze in shock upon seeing him. None dared act. None dared interfere. They could not comprehend what they were seeing. Ancient gods were myths to them, legends buried in forgotten texts. Even within the 4 great star systems, only a handful had ever heard of such beings, and even then, only in fragments. And those records spoke of towering existences, 6 stars or more, beings whose bodies rivaled entire planets. Compared to those legends, Wang Lin's 4-star form did not scream ancient god. His aura, subtle, his presence, unfamiliar. To these cultivators, he was simply an anomaly, something dangerous, something unknowable. And that was exactly why Wang Lin revealed this form. But that was not the true reason. No, the real reason burned far deeper. His avatar was dying. The connection between his original body and that avatar, once unbreakable, now flickered like a dying flame, weak, unstable, ready to snap at any moment. And if it broke, that meant death. Not just the avatar's death, his death. Because to Wang Lin, there was no distinction. The original body was him. The avatar was also him. To lose one was to die once, and Wang Lin was not someone who would hide, not someone who would wait patiently while a part of himself was extinguished. Even if the path ahead led to ruin, he would walk it. The chance of being exposed is small. His eyes grew colder. But even if I am discovered, so what? His speed surged, because some battles could not be delayed. Within him stirred the ancient inheritance. Though many divine abilities remained beyond his reach, some had already awakened. Among them, a technique meant to protect the young of ancient gods, spirit transformation, a state where one merged with a planet's spiritual energy, not to consume but to conceal, to sleep unseen, to exist. Beyond detection, unless another ancient god stood before them, no one could uncover the truth. Such power far surpassed the techniques of cultivators. But even so, there was one concern. Ta Sen, an 8-star ancient god, a being whose presence could not be hidden. If Ta Sen revealed himself, the entire Alliance star system would tremble. But Wang Lin only sneered inwardly. What does that have to do with me? I am no saint. Meanwhile, on the blood planet, decay had already taken root. Countless blood slaves walked its surface. Men and women stripped of freedom, their souls branded by the blood ancestor, their lives tied to his. If he lived, they lived. If he died, they would perish. Some had been abducted, some enslaved, some raised from youth, fed with blood pills, forged into guardians. To the blood ancestor, all were tools. Only one person received even a fragment of kindness: his daughter. Outside the blood pavilion, a young woman sat in restless silence. Her brows were tightly knit, her gaze constantly drifting toward the pavilion behind her, a forbidden place. Even she was not allowed to enter. Suddenly, 4 streaks of crimson light tore through the sky. They landed before her, 4 elders, each radiating the power of the second step. One stepped forward, lowered his head. "Mistress, another group of blood slaves has died." Zixin bit her lip, said nothing, but her heart trembled. In recent months, something unexplainable had been happening. Blood slaves, blood guardians, exploding, dying without warning. Now, more than 70% were gone. There was only one explanation. Something had happened to the blood ancestor. Another elder raised his head, his gaze sharp. Where did Lord Blood Ancestor go? Zixin's eyes turned icy, impudent. Her voice cut like a blade. "Is that something you dare ask?" Yet even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. In the past, none would dare question her, but now even she wondered, was he dying? The elder sneered, turned away, and walked toward the sky. Relief flickered in his heart. For thousands of years, he had been bound, branded, unable to leave. Now, freedom called. "If I must die, I will die in my homeland." He vanished into the heavens. The other 3 watched in silence. Then, without a word, they followed. Zixin stood furious. "You dare? Are you not afraid he will return?" Before she could finish, one elder turned, his voice cold. "Silence. You are nothing but a toy. Do you truly believe you are mistress?" Without the blood ancestor, she was nothing. And he made sure she understood. Then he disappeared, leaving her trembling. Below, the remaining slaves looked to the sky, and one by one, they fled. No loyalty remained, only resentment, only the desire to witness the fall of this cursed world. And then, the sky darkened, a pressure descended, crushing, terrifying. Zixin looked up, and her soul nearly shattered. What is that? In the void above, the 4 fleeing elders halted. Their expressions changed. In the distance, a river of stone surged forward, and above it, a giant, over 1,000 feet tall, eyes cold, filled with killing intent. They did not speak. They did not hesitate. They scattered in 4 directions, not to fight, but to flee. Even the blood ancestor can fall. The same thought echoed in all their minds. Behind them, countless slaves escaped into space. Some fled far, others lingered nearby, waiting, watching, eager to witness destruction. Wang Lin saw it all, understood instantly. But he did not stop them. He advanced, faster, closer, until the blood planet loomed before him. He rose above the stone river, lifted massive boulders, each 100 feet wide, and hurled them downward like meteors. The planet trembled. A blood-red barrier emerged, shattering the stones upon impact, but Wang Lin's gaze only grew colder. Again, and again, and again. He hurled them, without pause, until finally he spread his arms wide and dragged the entire river of stone down upon the planet. The barrier cracked, strained, and after half an incense stick, it shattered. Destruction followed. Stones rained from the heavens. Each impact sent shockwaves across the land. The planet trembled violently. Dust filled the sky. The world collapsed. Zixin stood frozen, her face pale, her heart overwhelmed. This power was beyond comprehension. Yet in that moment, she turned toward the blood pavilion. Her hands formed seals, imitating the blood ancestor. For years, she had watched, memorized, practiced in secret. Now she acted, faster, faster. Until a red glow appeared, a passage opened, hope filled her eyes. But then darkness fell once more. A shadow loomed above. She looked up and saw him, the giant. His gaze locked onto her. Fear flooded her heart. She turned and rushed into the passage. But the moment she entered, a scream tore from her throat. The red light consumed her, her body decayed, rotting, turning into green smoke, her soul collapsing. From above, Wang Lin watched, cold, silent, as she vanished. He descended, reached out, and tore the blood pavilion from the earth. With it, 100 feet of land ripped free. Then his fist struck the planet. A thunderous blow. The world shook, cracks spread, dust roared into the sky. And then he left, vanishing into the void, carrying the pavilion with him. Behind him, no one resisted, no one pursued. Instead, many bowed in silent gratitude, because the chains that bound them were gone, and as confusion filled their hearts, they scattered, returning home to places they had not seen in countless years. And thus, the blood planet fell. not with a battle, but with a reckoning, a storm born from a man who refused to let even one part of himself die in silence.